Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by former two-weight world champion, now obviously manager of Dereck Chisora, David Haye. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. All's good, all's well. We're ready to go.
Live from the bubble, of course. Just 2 days to go now till Usyk against Chisora. Big main event, Sky Sports box office. Just first of all, I've seen a number of your comments talking about how great Chisora's training camp has been this time around. What have been the key differences from the previous times that you've worked with?
I think it's Dereck's mindset and his willingness to go to the line, go as far as humanly possible, to train to exhaustion, push beyond the natural limits of what your body can do. And he always trained hard, but to beat and to be able to compete at this certain world level, you know, you can't be training like you would do for a British title fight or even a European. You know, you're fighting an elite pound to pounder, so you can't have any chinks in your armor. You can't have any weaknesses. You can't have your cardio tank, 70-80% full. You need to be 100% locked in with your technique, with your drills, making sure the rehearsed sequences of punches are just automatic. And to do that, you have to do session after round after session after round and round. And recovery is so important as well. And in the past, Dereck has been, not that interested in going straight from the gym straight back to sleep. He might go out and meet a friend and have a coffee here, or go and have a little lunch in there with another buddy, a little brunch here, meeting people here. This is a thing of the past, and he's just eating, breathing, sleeping, boxing now. And it's definitely, for me, it's the only way to win. It's the only way to win. Anything other than a perfect training camp, he can't compete with someone on Usyk's level.
Dereck is obviously a very different style of fighter to you back in your fighting days, but how similar is the training that he's doing to what you used to do?
It's different. We're two completely different beasts. He's a lot more robust than me. Our training programs are polar opposite, to be honest. I couldn't do a lot of the stuff that he does. My body isn't as robust, and he's not as fast as I was, but I don't have the engine that he has. He's like a Rolls Royce, and I'm like a Tesla sort of thing. Two very different animals. So the type of training he's had to do, and the type of training he can do, he can hit it a lot harder than I can on consecutive days. I need a lot more rest to recover my energy systems when I was training. Otherwise, I'd get injured or get sick. He's just a bigger machine than I am, and that allows him to do more. It allows him to, his lung capacity is huge. He's got a big, powerful heart. He's a much bigger skeletal system. He's got massive hands and wrists and neck. He's just so much bigger and stronger than I was, and it's just engaging all of that strength and putting it into a format that's effective for his boxing career. As you know, all of the strength Dereck Chisora has. For instance, he could out deadlift me, out squat me, out bench press me at any point in my career. He's just bigger and stronger. But when we fought each other, I was able to walk him back, and it wasn't because I was stronger. It was because I had the technique of working with grapplers and wrestlers, pushing. Exactly. And he's never really been functionally fit. He's just been strong. He's had a big engine strength, but he's never really known how to engage it all and put it all together. Now he's putting it together, and he's so much more effective. His sparring partners are getting so much pressure from Dereck Chisora. Guys who were able to, for instance, Seinar Gashi, who went 10 rounds to Dereck Chisora with 10-ounce gloves on. Dereck wasn't really able to put a dent in him. Now he's getting close. He was able to close the ring down. He was able to really get to Gashi really quickly. And if it was in 10-ounce gloves, he was really laying hands on him. This wasn't happening before. And Gashi really came over to camp. He really helped us. He was explaining to us, how the things Dereck was doing effectively that he never used to do. And it was just like a box ticking exercise where, okay, Seinar Gashi is very tricky, very hard to nail, very hard to get down. So he worked with us to assist in Dereck's movement of his feet and the shifting of his weight, and it's been really educational for Dereck this specific camp, because he's just given himself fully to his coaches, myself, and the whole team, and everybody gives 100%, and now Dereck is.
And one thing I wanted to ask you, Dereck was saying yesterday in the conference call that you're always watching him training, but you're not the one taking him on the pads and the one next to him telling him what to do. Who does have that responsibility, and why do you put that trust in them?
I'd say the head coach is a guy called Alexis Dimitriadis. He is a guy I've worked with for a few years now.
London
and
Shoot Fighters.
From London Shoot Fighters, yeah. His brother's here, Marius, and he's done so much work down there over the last couple of years. So they do a lot of his strength and conditioning stuff as well, along with Ruben Tabares and John Ramos. Leon Williams also there as well, doing a lot of his pad work. Exactly. So he's got a nice team of people around him who all bring something additional to the pot. And I've never known someone to have so many different people with different elements of the game, but it seems to work. And the results in the sparring have been brilliant. So we just haven't wanted to change it. We have different trainers to do different parts of his training program, but you need constant stimulus. Dereck gets bored quite quickly, so we make sure that the training sessions are very stimulating, and they really get him really gets him fired up, really gets him switched on for every session. Every session is different, every session's adjusted, and he's in a place now that I wasn't sure we could ever get him to. I never thought we could get him to a point where he's gone through his whole training camp and it's just been perfect, and he's in perfect physical condition. It's normally in every other camp there's been an injury of some description that we've had to work around. This time he's just been flying. I think it's the accumulation of the last couple of years has got his body so toughened to the hard training camp that he's just the lockdown has really helped him, because it's stopped any distractions. If he wanted to give himself fully, and there hasn't been a distraction of pulling him away from that, because there's nothing else happening in the world. So he's just able to go 100% full throttle straight through this training camp. And I'm really happy where we are. We've got a couple of days left to the fight, and he's as optimal as he's ever going to be. I don't believe there will be a time in his life where he would have had such a long run at one date. And to get him to peak on Saturday, ideally peak, it's taken so many hard slogging sessions going back 3-4 months, but we took him down that trough. We brutalized him in the gym, pushed him to the maximum, and then we gradually pulled a foot off the pedal, and it's just brought him up all the way up. Now he's raring to go, and he's got a full 12-round tank of quality boxing. In the past, he's gone into fights, with 3/4 of a tank, and has ended up fighting on empty a lot of the time. And he can fight on empty. He can do 12 rounds. He can do 12 rounds completely out of shape. But this time he's in optimal physical condition.
We spoke to Dereck's former trainer, Don Charles, a few weeks ago, someone with whom you've got a mixed history. He's been both kind of enemy and colleague at different times. But he said if David Haye's the guy writing the programs, forming the overall strategy, why doesn't he go in the corner on fight night? What do you say to that?
Myself and Dereck have a fighter-manager relationship. Dereck is he's a difficult character from time to time, and a lot of his training is done collectively between me, Alexis, Marius, Ruben Tabares, Leon Williams. We all collectively work together on what the program's going to be. We rewatch the sparring. We all talk about it. It's not just me telling him what to do. That's not how it is. I'm not the head coach. That's not what I do. Alexis he's a combat coach. He's done thousands of fights over the years, and that's his speciality. He sees stuff that I don't see sometimes. Although I was a boxer, I was an elite athlete myself, doesn't mean that I'm qualified to then teach somebody. I think I know what I'm talking about, but I've never been in a corner instructing someone before, so I don't think, I think it would be, it'd be wrong for me to then jump up there and start telling Dereck what to do, because in sparring, when he respars he has Alexis's voice, he's had a consistent voice throughout his training of instructions, and he's learned to have that relationship with that one man. And I always feel it's best to have one voice, and the voice who's had the most experience in combat, no doubt, is Alexis from that standpoint. So I know what Don's saying, but I get where he's coming from. But I'm not a boxing coach. That's not what I do. I don't take people on the pads. I don't corner people. It's not. Maybe one day I might look into doing that, but as a manager, I manage his team. I make sure he gets his blood work done. I make sure his massage is sorted. I make sure his where he's sleeping is good, where his food sorted, what his nutritional program links up with what his blood work saying. If there's any minerals deficiencies in any of his blood work, we then adjust his nutrition with Aiden, his nutritionist. There's so many different moving parts. There isn't enough time for me to go in there and start learning how to be a boxing coach at the end of it. But they say a lot of boxers just jump straight in there as a coach, and it's an art form to understand. Looking in a fighter's eyes, looking at the body language, understanding the ebbs and flows of fights, and it's something I like. It's something I like. I love boxing. I think I'd be a good coach, but it's at this juncture, it's not something I'd really want to do. But I think if I was to put my life and soul into it, I think I'd be good. I think we'd be good at anything if I put my time and energy into it. But the managerial side of things is stressful. It's stressful enough at the moment. But it's big rewards in the fact that if I've been able to put an infrastructure around Dereck Chisora, which is, I feel, has been able to get the very best out of him. If he was asked, if he was to ask Dereck Chisora with a lie detector test, have you ever been as fit as this? Have you ever been as confident going into the fight than this? The answer would be, no. He's never felt like he feels now. He's never. When we wrote out the training session, I know for a fact he would have said, "Oh, there's no way I could spar that many rounds." But if you're not getting hit in those rounds because you're using defensive techniques that you've never used before, you can. So he's done more rounds at a higher pace, throwing more punches and getting hit a lot less than ever before in his career. And that, for me, is where the longevity comes from. A lot of fighters, I remember Riddick Bowe, the amount of punishment Riddick Bowe used to take in sparring had a detrimental effect on his long-term health.
Sure. And
I'm a big believer in making sure that fighters are trained smart. Now, although you're wearing big gloves and head guards, the damage is done in sparring. So it's to getting Dereck in full physical condition. So when he is sparring, he isn't getting completely exhausted and getting beaten up on the ropes like he used to get, because that's where the damage is done. You get to a fight and you're punch drunk. Dereck Chisora has done more rounds. He's got hit significantly less. He's landed way more quality shots, and he's done more rounds consistently day after day. And that's something Dereck's never done before. We're talking like he sparred sometimes 4 days on the spin. Because he's not getting abused, he's not getting smashed about, but he's doing useful stuff that he's going to need in this fight. And physically, he's able to do it. And now he gets to the fight, and there's no niggles, there's no injuries, there's nothing. He's just raring to go. So as a manager, I'm really happy that I've done my part in getting the infrastructure around him to get him across the line in one piece, mentally, physically, and spiritually, in the best place he's ever been in his life. Because that's all I can do is get him. Get the right people around him to get him into the ring with full confidence. As that's the manager's job, is to take the stress away from the fighter and just let the fighter do the fighting.